playing him?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because we ran off the rails. Or we got too powerful.
And I would think that everyone agrees that there are good NPCs, bad NPCs, and there's a right way of doing things with NPCs. But ultimately, it's the player's game. And if you make up a guy who the players don't they don't like or they don't want to interact with, then essentially you just wasted your time. And sometimes I think it's better just to have a framework of maybe a name and just kind of go with that. Because if you start over planning, you're just going to end up wasting your time.
Half the characters in my superhero campaign are just names. I don't really develop them until I'm using them on a daily basis.
You develop them reactionally.
Yeah.
Going off of what the characters, the PCs are doing.
Right.
And I think that's an important thing to do, because if you start over planning it, overdoing it, then essentially you're telling everyone a story, and people just don't. Some people like that, but some people don't.
Well, there's really two basic kinds of NPC anyway. There's the kinds that serve a function within the plot, and the kinds that serve a function within whatever else the players might need. It was like, well, we don't have a healer. We need, Father so-and-so.
Utility.
Right. Somebody who's just going to come in and heal us after we're done getting our ass beat.
The head priest of our temple wears Birkenstocks, and his name's Doug.
Yes.
What was that? I don't remember.
That was a.
Was that the head of the Church of Drake?
No,
Yes.
no.
I thought it was.
No. That was the head of the Church of Mayheim.
In what campaign?
It was when we were playing in Brian's attic.
That was Doug?
Yeah, that was Doug.
Wow.
And it was the reason being was we were playing and we were talking about whatever, and I said to Mike, we should all follow like the same god. What's the newest god in the pantheon? And Mike was like, Mayheim? We're like, okay, yeah. And then I don't remember who said it was like, oh, yeah, he's, so like, it's like a progressive church, and all this other stuff. The preacher, he sits there, his name's Doug, he wears Birkenstocks.
Secretly, he was cussing you for sullying his Greyhawk.
Wow.
Well, something Mark said made me think, though. Like you're saying, I want to go, buy a suit of armor, so you go to the armor. And if that's the only time you ever do that, that's not in NPCs.
Well, it
if you
depends.
come back to that same armor, or even then have his name, then he becomes an NPC.
Or if he rips you off and he doesn't make your armor, keeps your money.
Then he's an evil NPC.
I was actually kind of halfway referring to a character in Dragon Age Origins.
The first thing I thought of was Resident Evil 4, the guy who just randomly is everywhere in the house who will sell you ammo.
Talking about, just crutch NPCs, things like that. There's a couple of cases where, as a game master, you want your players to have fun, but you also kind of want them to be able to be self-sufficient.
Yes.
And you get so tired of having to inject these crutch NPCs because the players are either they have no inclination to play that type of a character, or they're not fully invested in maybe doing what they need to be doing. And one of the cases of that would be in Shadowrun. No one ever wanted to play the wizard or the mage. And
the magic was so hard to use and was almost never effective.
But yet, whenever people got really messed up, they always wanted to go to a street doc, and they always wanted to go to a mage to get healed up.
Right.
One way I punished the group was I had a dog shaman, and the way he healed you was he made you eat magically imbued dog turds.
Yep.
Yes.
And that was and of course I had to pantomime it, and we had to actually role play you eating the dog turds.
Yeah, which is it was surprisingly effective, because even pretending to eat a dog turd was uncomfortable. I remember that.
Well, it should be.
Especially with Eric holding his fingers out in front of you.
So why did you kill my doc whenever I tried to fix the problem?
You making it sound personal. It's not personal.
Yeah.
Dan. What's up with that, Dan? Why are you making it personal, Dan?
It was personal.
I think Dr. Fong was the only doc that ever survived. That's because he was a troll adept.
With a
He was
Panther
too
Assault
tough
Cannon.
to die. He didn't pick up the Panther Assault Cannon until much, much later. That's because it fell off a helicopter that was trying to kill us.
He had a black belt in Mushu pork.
Yes, I did.
Mushu pork.
Well, that's what pissed me off about that character, man. That character was like, all right, this is my last run, and then I'm going to retire. And Eric
What'd you say that for?
ate us.
That's your fault.
Ate us. I was buying
your
a
fault.
restaurant.
Yeah.
I was buying that's how we all retire. We're buying a
Why buy a
restaurant.
restaurant? No one ever, opens up a gas station. Well, no, wait.
Yeah, Ratchet opened a gas station.
It's always a bar a club, a whorehouse. I mean, that's essentially what they all are.
I was opening up a Korean restaurant because Dr. Fong was a Korean mob. It was be spicy pork bulgogi all around.
You were opening up an aspiring front for the mob, not really a restaurant.
I hope our listeners were taking notes.
Right. So, any other?
These are things that you do when you've just played for so long. You know?
Well, you just kind of come up with things.
Yeah, because everything's been done before.
That's true. You just kind of you want to do something different.
I do find myself at times, Eric, when I'm playing, when you're running a game, I do find myself being careful sometimes about what I say when we're interacting with it, especially in a new game, because I know that the things I say are going to influence what you're going to do with those PCs. Now, I slipped up 2 weeks ago and I said, oh, well, my contact Skeven Poe, he's obviously in Whitechapel, so I'm going to go to Whitechapel and meet him, because Whitechapel's where,
Yeah, you didn't think that through at all.
Yeah, I didn't. That was a dumb idea. So that obviously
Which
came
is
back
where Jack the Ripper.
Right, Jack the Ripper. That's where the Ripper.
Your Ratman couldn't have been like a Ratman who hangs out underneath, the Abbey. It couldn't have been a good part of town.
Right. I just come up with the nastiest place that I can think of in London in that time period, and that's where I put him.
Well, and see, the thing is, you slipped up, but you mentioned Whitechapel before you even talked about him.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you said, I'm not going anywhere near Whitechapel.
Yep.
And then an hour
and
later,
I did it anyway.
an hour later.
About that Whitechapel, it sounds like
So
a
that was
fine
something
place.
that was running through your head, and you just had to get it out. So don't blame me.
I'm hoping to kill the Ripper early.
Or join him in his cause.
Yeah. The Ripper and the Blaster. All right.
Pepper Jones over there.
All right. Well, I think that's about where we're going to wrap it up. So keep the questions coming. Keep the emails and voicemails coming in. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Follow us on Twitter. We're at GamersTable.
Like us on Facebook.
Listen to us on iTunes.
Or on Stitcher.
Got a question you want read during the show? Send us an email at feedback@gamerstable.com or leave us a voicemail at 559-546-1231. Check out some other great shows affiliated with us at rpgcrosstalk.webs.com.
You have been listening to Gamers Table, a registered trademark Side Tangent Productions. Visit us at gamerstable.com. Products and intellectual properties discussed during this podcast are properties of their respective owners. This production is for entertainment purposes only. Any commercial broadcast is prohibited without written consent from Side Tangent Productions.